Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Out actually shooting today. You can see I've got my 300F4 with the 1.4 teleconverter strapped to this backpack. This backpack's not really meant for, I mean it's meant for this, but not really. But I'm actually up at Lost Lake, which is in the northeastern part of the lower peninsula of Michigan. It's where my parents' cottage is. And there's a nature trail around the lake up here. I've done this before in a previous video, but I did it from a different perspective. Now, unfortunately, oh, somebody come right here, hold on a second. As I was saying, up here in the nature trail. Now, unfortunately, it is like 10 a.m. in the morning, so we're past all the good morning light. All right, what I was trying to say was, unfortunately, it's around 10 a.m. in the morning, so all that good light is kind of gone. You know, we're at the summer solstice, so we get light as early as like 5:30 in the morning, and it stays bright out or bright enough out until like 9:30, 10 o'clock right now. So harsh light today, not really focusing much on landscapes because that light is gone, but more going to show, play with the power of this 300mm lens, what I call a reference lens for Olympus or Micro Four Thirds in general. Going to shoot some details. There's a lot of birds around. Try to see if we can find some birds. There's a bunch of trees. You guys can't see it probably on the GoPro here, but lots of trees that are just clearly riddled with woodpeckers. So if I can find one of them, that'd be great. And we're just gonna have some fun today. And we're talking a little bit about the two areas where Micro Four Thirds I think is undefeated, honestly. And I'll talk about my experience as I bought this lens. So we'll walk around a little bit, take some pictures, and I'll stop along the way on this night nature hike and talk about a few things like that. Need to be careful on this tall stuff. Michigan, especially northern Michigan here, has a ton of ticks, and they're really bad this year in particular. So, not having pants on, I have to make sure I don't have any ticks crawling up my pants. Don't want a tick on your. I'm out here in the swampy part of this thing, and well, first of all, I just saw a woodpecker. I spooked it on accident. I didn't even see it until it kind of flew off and landed in a tree. As soon as I pulled my camera to take a picture, it took off. It was a cool looking woodpecker. But anyways, I'm back here in the swamplands, just getting absolutely annihilated by flies and mosquitoes right now. This swampy part of it, they brush cut back here to kind of reduce some of the weeds and stuff. But oh man, I am getting crushed right now. All right, so I guess the fact that it's midday, a lot of these animals have probably already gone back. I've walked this path before in the early mornings. There's a bunch of deer out here, a bunch of other wildlife and animals, and it's really, really great. So the fact that I'm going a little bit later in the day and it's getting hot out, it might be back in sleep mode, waiting for the evening time. But as I'm walking, and I'm gonna keep walking because if I stop, they just annihilate me, the flies and mosquitoes. It's a good time to tell you guys about kind of my buying experience in this 300F4. My camera just shut off on me for no reason. I have no idea why. I wanted to give it a second chance, take a look at it. I wanted to give it a second chance and look at it. But when I went in there, you know, I still had some Lumix gear. And I said, well, while I'm here, let's check out the Lumix S5 Mark II, because now it has phase detect. And let's put the 150 to 600 Sigma on there. And I did the same thing with the Sony A7R5 and the 200 to 600. Now, gas kicked in. I did think about trading everything else in and going that route, but a couple things stuck out. First of all, the Sigma 150 to 600 is big. It's if I have the picture still, I'll put up a comparison picture I took while I was in the store. But the 150 to 600 is big, and the 200 to 600 Sony lens is not quite as big, but it's still big. And you put the Micro Four Thirds system next to it, it's about 2/3 the size, and that's significant when you're out walking around like I am right now. The fact that I'm hand holding this is really, really cool. The second thing is this 300F4 is f4. Now, from a light gathering perspective, which is arguably more important than the depth of field thing that we talk about in portraits and stuff with full frame, it's still f4 for light gathering. And you put the 1.4 teleconverter on, it's f5.6. That lens, the 150 to 600, I think even the 200 to 600, like f6.3, or like 6 point something, right? And you're getting less reach. And so there was that thing. So it was more money, it was bigger and heavier, more expensive, and you were darker, you know, if you need to do higher shutter speeds. Now, obviously people do it. I'm not saying it's not possible. So I looked at all that. I said, that's interesting, but still full frame is probably better image quality. Now I put the 100-400 Olympus lens on, and it did good. But then I put the 3.5-4 on, and I've never seen a lens render this beautifully on Micro Four Thirds as this lens. This lens is optically amazing. And so with that, I was nervous to commit further into the system, but I did. And I was mainly nervous because once you put, it's a $2,700 lens. Now, Olympus had a bunch of different deals and stuff like that, but I got it for way less than that. Once you go that path, it's no longer just a cheap kit anymore. But I did it. I decided to purchase this. And it was that size and weight, while keeping a faster shutter speed still because the aperture is brighter, that was important to me. And honestly, when you're shooting at f5.6, which is like an f11 depth of field on full frame, but at 840 millimeters worth of reach, again, full frame equivalent, that's plenty. You don't need more than that. I get plenty of separation. So that's what into the decision-making process. And this is where Micro Four Thirds cannot be beat, I think, for size and weight and cost relative to the output, image output, versus full frame. I think for telephoto like this, it's one of its super strong points. So that was what went into the decision making of this. And we'll talk a bit about more the other strength that I see where the depth of field part actually plays the role in a positive way. But I'm gonna keep walking because I'm getting chewed up. Did you guys see that? Just fly in front of me. I think that was a blue jay. See if I can sneak up on it. The birds here are a lot more skittish than at home. But I think there's a deer over here. I find it. Hold on. Damn it. Shoot, man. He just flew off. As soon as I got a picture, but I didn't get the exposure that I wanted on it. Okay, that was that one bird I heard. Now there was something over here in the woods too. Sound like a deer. Oh my gosh, the bugs are killing me. All right, let's keep walking. I'm finding out I'm a little slow to the draw and everything. I just had a bunch of geese come like running by me. It was super cool. They're all fanned out and running fast. The camera wasn't on, I missed it. But here's a couple shots of those geese. So here, the second part of Micro Four Thirds, that is, I think it's undefeated. And that comes to like macro and using its quote unquote negative, which is the increased depth of field, in your favor. And so what I'm finding, as I mentioned in the previous little clip, is that I can have a shallower or a more wide open aperture, let more light on, and keep my shutter speeds up, which helps with shake and tracking and all that stuff. And I can do it with an increased depth of field. So I'm taking pictures of things like, for example, this sunflower here. Look how much detail is in this. It's also a testament to how good this lens is. But I was able to keep the shutter speed up and have a really deep depth of field because of just the 2x crop sensor thing. And so if you're a macro photographer, I think that works in your favor big time as well. And it's been working in my favor. Now for portraits and stuff, if you're doing the super shallow depth of field look for like family portraits or full body portraits, I think you're gonna have to find some specialty glass. It's harder to do on Micro Four Thirds. Not impossible, just harder. But when you're shooting like wildlife and stuff like that, I think it works in its favor. I would love to see Olympus do, or OM Systems do, if it wasn't, they could find a way to make it without being huge, is do something for the sports side of things that offsets some of this, like a 50 to 100 or a 50 to 150. I don't know, making something up, like f1.8. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but something like that would be awesome for sports, because then, you get to keep the super shallow depth, or get that shallow depth of field, get a faster shutter speed, still get some separation. I think that'd be a cool lens for them to make. Anyways, yeah, so what I've kind of found in terms of like stabilization, size and weight, cost in some areas, and then obviously telephoto and for macro, I think Micro Four Thirds is probably one of the best systems. And when you grab a camera and it's in its element and you feel it, right? Like a portrait camera, like a Phase 1 or a Hasselblad, whatever, you're kind of holding and using one of those cameras for you're shooting something like a Sony or whatever for like wedding photography, I think those are really good for that. These cameras, I think, were made for this. And you know, the EM1 Mark III doesn't have the best autofocus tracking system. The OM1 is probably the right camera for that. This thing does a really, really good job, and made it with this lens and this setup. This isn't fatiguing on me at all. This is actually really, really awesome. I'm really enjoying it. So, see, check this out. Watch this. You guys see this? There's a bunch of bugs on this sunflower. I'm gonna take a picture of it. And this thing's waving in the wind. I'll have a high shutter speed. I'll get the depth of field still. Just take a picture. All right, so I've got you guys here. I'm piecing these clips together. I have no idea how this is gonna turn out. A couple things about this lens I do want to talk to you guys about that I like a lot so far. Stuff has been mentioned on the internet before. There's nothing revolutionary here, but the first is the Sync IS is really good. And this lens is mated with an Olympus camera. They have the Sync IS together. Does a good job. You know, hand holding 840 millimeters is tough, and so it does a really good job of that. So that's cool. Second is the manual focus clutch, right? If you got a whole bunch of stuff in the scene, the camera doesn't know what to grab. Having that manual focus clutch is great to just grab and spin. And it does a good job of helping you like nail focus pretty easily. So that's a lot of fun. That's cool as well. Third is the build quality is insane. Like that the foot on the, dragonfly moved. The foot on this is Arca Swiss. You can throw it on a tripod. I have my tripod with me back here somewhere, right there. So if I do find something I have a chance to set up a shot, then I'll do that. For example, there are like these geese and there's loons and there's other herons and stuff that are typically on this lake that I'm next to over here. You guys maybe see this? Now usually they're out in the morning or late in the evening, so I don't know if I'll see them today, but if I do, I'll set up the tripod, throw it on the foot of this lens and do that. So that's cool. And of course the image quality is insane in this thing for a micro four thirds sensor, and does an amazing job. So I really like this lens way more than I thought it would. Now there are a couple of drawbacks. One, that manual focus clutch, it can be bumped easily, and so sometimes I'll grab it and I'll have picked up the lens and knock the manual focus clutch back. So that's one issue. Man, this is tall back here. Guys, see this? I'm getting crushed. The bugs. The second downside is the fact that it's not a zoom lens. You don't have any control over your distance really much, except with your feet. And sometimes if you're looking to find the subject through your lens, it's hard to do, because if you're getting real close to it or on top of it, you know, it's hard to kind of pick out where it is at such a magnified focal length. So that's one of the negatives. You know, and that's really it. I mean, the cost, yes, it's expensive, but like I said, for the money, this optical quality, I think you're up there with lenses that are 2 to 3x the cost of these things. So I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. And if you're gonna be a micro four thirds shooter, you're gonna do some telephoto stuff. Obviously I've never played with the 150 to 400, that new one. I've seen some reviews comparing it to this lens. But I would just go right to this. I wouldn't even mess around with the 100 to 400 or the 75 to 300. Now obviously budget concerns, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you had the money, I think this is a noticeable step up from those two lenses. I did play with the other two lenses. I've owned the 100 to 400 in the past, so I do have that experience, and I think it's a big deal. I'm looking for these loons or birds that are on the water. Not finding them yet. All right, let's see if we can find them and get some shots. I'm not sure if you guys can see, but right here, see this area right there? That's all this matted down grass. All this matted down grass is where the deer lay at night. So usually there's a lot of deer back here, but they must be out in the woods doing their thing. They love this kind of like tall grass that's soft. They lay down in it. It gives them some coverage so other animals can't see them. And they lay back here quite a bit. I don't see them though. So sometimes they'll just be laying here and you can walk right up on them. They don't even move. The deer up here are strange. They come out of our feet, out of our hands sometimes. It's weird. So, true story. No deer. All right, let's go find those birds in the water. Birds. Like I told you guys, look at ticks. Get off me, tick. Another tick right there. All over. Is it back here? Back here? Gotta watch out, man. These ticks will get you. If you don't notice them, they bury themselves in you quick. When I get back, I'll take a shower and do a full body inspection. Alright, so I found these two swans. And now we're going to find them back here. Right? Yeah, I thought I'd glare off my screen, but I got this swan on the tripod. I'm just watching it. And there's two of them. It's a male and a female that's hanging out together here. They were together for a minute, but now they're separated. Oh my gosh, hold on. I left you guys hanging in suspense there. There were some birds diving straight into the water, picking out fish from the lake. I missed it. Amateur hour. But I did, learning my camera, right? So I did put the camera in pro capture mode for a shot. This bird, regular generic bird, was sitting on this power line or cable, whatever this is. I wanted to see if I can get it taken off. And not that cool of a shot, but it definitely worked. This pro capture thing, I'm gonna like it. If I have a chance to perch up on something, knowing a movement's gonna happen, this pro capture is pretty sweet. I'll show you that picture right now. Oh man, I'm an idiot. As soon as I hung up with the deer thing, I looked to my left and there was a deer laying right next to me, staring at me. I grabbed this because, like with the swans, I should have used this camera to show you the video. I didn't do that, I wasn't thinking. I clicked into video mode, mainly focused on this deer. It was hiding. It would have been an amazing video and shot. I never hit the record button. And as soon as I go, oh shoot, to myself, he took off and sprinted. Probably would have been the best shot of the whole entire thing. I was right up on that deer's eyes. Like you could see probably the reflection of my camera. It was so close. It was so stupid. Stupid. Maybe I'll find another one. The only deer, and would have been a cool shot. All right, we gotta get back. Uh-oh, looks like something got attacked here last night. Feathers everywhere. Coyote attack? Lots of coyotes up here. Could be. RIP birdie, or it's just molting. Again, don't come to this channel for bird expertise. It's not it. Maybe as I get better, I'll be able to tell you more real information instead of the fake news I probably just spread. All right. Continue the trek.